What's up YouTube, Dar here from Zephyr Wargames, and today I'm bringing you something shaken up, something a little bit stirred, and that is branded Despia Synchros. Yes, the deck can now produce Synchros, but it's limited to drawing it during your opponent's turn. I will show you a 2-card combo at the end of the video that will allow you to see what the Synchros can offer to this build, and it definitely does give you something to shake up if you want to change it around a little bit as well. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out any more upcoming content. So we're going to start the profile off with, of course, 2 Fallen of Albaz. Now I am continually considering bumping this up to 3, more so in this version because in the combo you'll see that we go through both our Albazes and we don't really recycle any of them at that point because the board we produce is pretty much game winning. But it's definitely something I'm considering to look at putting at 3. Then one of the starters of the combo is of course a Luba, so we are maxing out on this. Followed by the single Tragedy and Ad Libitum. Now obviously these are fusion focused cards, so 1-on-1 is perfectly normal of what you want to use on these. You do put more bestials in the deck, which is why you kind of need to balance out everything else. Going back to the Albion or the Albaz cards, we've got the 1 Albion the Shrouded, 2 Macoria, which are both important in the combo, followed by 2 Cartesia and the 1 Quem. Now, Quem is just insane for this deck. I absolutely love what it does for the deck. And, you know, unfortunately, again, it's one of them ones, quite like Cartesia, it's pretty much a must play. You can get away with maybe 1 Cartesia, but then you're always really going to want to have at least 1 Quem as well. So you need to find the correct balance. Then for the hand traps, we've got 3 Ash, followed by the bricks in the form of Dark Magician and Neospatian Aquadolphin. Now I'm still playing the Aquadolphin in the deck. I still feel that it's probably one of the most consistent, lowest risk bricks in the entire deck. Not to mention that I get full hand knowledge. Yes, it does lock you into fusions, but like I said, your branded fusion does that anyway. You're going to be synchro summoning during your opponent's turn only, unless you feel that all you'll need to do is make 1 synchro summon and not use branded fusion that entire turn. It's still very, very good. Yes, it does require that discard, but I'm willing to take that sacrifice of a discard to look at my opponent's hand and get rid of Drolls, know if I need to play around the Nibiru and get rid of an Ash, or know that they've got a Dark Rule and no more so I can hold back a couple of cards, or maybe even an evenly matched. For the bestials, we've gone back to 2 Lubellion, 2 Magnamut, 1 Druid Swarm, and 1 Saronir. I'm highly considering putting Lubellion up to 3 because that is your other card for the 2-card combo. It can slightly be replaced with the Magnamut, but the issue is Lubellion is your direct route to the Ontrude, which is the trap card that allows you to conduct your Synchro Summon play. So if you can't get to Lubellion and you don't directly open this up or try and then sacrifice one of your other cards to search it as it is a branded spell or trap, then you're really putting yourself in a bit of a bad situation. So opening up Lubellion can be very, very important. If you don't have access to Lubellion, I would then consider bumping the Magnamut up to 3 to gain that consistency, because these are your level 6 that are going to be utilized more times than not to get you into your level 10 synchros. And trust me, we play an incredibly powerful one that has just come out that means that all of your cards cannot be destroyed by battle. If you, again, don't have the Lubellions, another option to look into is you would then consider putting in Kit, because then Kit is another direct route in order to get you to your Intrude, and that's your only other way to instigate the Synchro Summoning plays. So that's the monster lineup for the deck. It is not a 40 card deck, I believe it's a 44 card deck. Some people might want to try and cut some of the cards. The only one that I would lean to is you may consider getting rid of the Dragoon package, but I feel that it's just too powerful. I feel you do need to go out of your way to make it, but I feel that once you do, it's very tricky for your opponent to deal with. However, when we're going back to it, or going into a format of stuff like Santa Claus and Kaijus, sitting on a Dragoon may not be good enough. On for the spells, of course, pretty much triple branded fusion, what should probably be called branded deployment, and then triple branded opening. So opening is just, again, this goes up a level because of Quem. The fact that it can summon Quem is mental. So obviously your first target, you might want to more times than not go for your Aluba, because then that's going to give you your branded fusion. If you've already opened up your branded fusion, or you've already opened up your Aluba, quite simply activating branded opening, discarding the card, summoning out the Quem can be invaluable, because that can then put a Cartesia to the graveyard, and you'll see in the combo how important something like Quem is. We're then on to Nadir Servant. Now this is just another one that you can kind of consider as a way to play through Ash. Yes, this can actually help you instigate ways of being able to set up your plays. Now, what I quite like about this deck and the mixture of the deck is even if you take Branded Fusion out of the equation, you still have the ability to synchro summon during your opponent's turn, because all you're really using the fusion element for, and you'll see this in the combo, is to get Lulu Walif from the extra deck to the graveyard to get to Quem in the end phase. Whereas going directly to Nadir 7 will do that for you anyway. You just need to have your normal summon to normal summon Quem and do its effect. You'll then still have the ability to keep bringing back Cartesia, and then the idea is that they're both level 4s. They are both tuners, so they are the only other tuners in the deck that will allow you to get into all your other synchro monsters bar 1. And in doing so, you're able to set up cards from the extra deck, you're able to set up combos to play through it, and as you've seen in my previous combo video, to make this more consistent, you can look at playing the kit and you'd play Sprind, but I feel because we're playing the Synchro version, you don't really want to rely on the Sprind and Branded in High Spirits route. So it's definitely a card that you could consider cutting if you want to, but I feel it's just very important with Quem. And then for the one-offs of the branded cards, we've got 1 red, 1 lost, followed up by a Foolish Burial and a Call by the Grave. Now, I decided to go with Foolish Burial over Gold Sark for the pure fact that Foolish Burial gives me access to the Lubellion. It can still trigger Tragedy, and it can put a card in the graveyard for my Bestial to trigger. So if I do get ashed on a Branded Fusion, and I can't get a monster in the graveyard with something like Branded Fusion, then of course I can use Foolish Burial, and that will do the same job for me. The only card that Foolish Burial doesn't trigger is the Makoria. So you're kind of basically saying, you could play Gold Sark and Foolish Burial. There's no real benefit or negative, there we go, that's the right word, in playing both of it. I was just trying to keep the count down. I didn't want to overextend the count for no reason. But yeah, Foolish Burial deals with Tragedy, or helps you out with Tragedy and Lubellion, and then Gold Sark will help you with Makoria and Tragedy. So I felt that Foolish Burial, because it could also technically set up the Makoria play if I open up a Bestial, was probably the better one to go with. I've then got with a kind of mini board breakers in the form of Eclipses, and I have got the 1 Regained. And the reason I went with the 1 Regained is because what you're going to need to do in this deck in order to get to your Synchros as much as possible is you want to be able to loop your level 6s, and you want to be able to loop your level 8. If you're going to try and Synchro summon out Lulu Walif correctly, then that's the only way you're going to be able to do it, is a level 8 and a level 4. Your level 10s are a lot easier, but they do require the Bestials in order to be the level 6, because that is the fodder you're going to need. On top of that, it will also allow you to put some of your cards back for the grind game. It is one of the cards that I could highly see myself cutting. I did also want to play Branded Beast, because then that gave me another route to Intrude, because then I could send the Intrude off of Saranir, and then the end phase, Beast would reset it for me. But it's something that I haven't really been able to get the max value out of during testing. Regained is kind of on that edge of, I can see myself cutting it. So personal preference, if you don't want to play it, absolutely fine. And the last 2 cards I play is the Intrude and the Sword. Now the Sword's actually quite important, and the reason for that is, the idea between this is, you'll see it in the combo, you go through both Makorias, you actually banish them, you get resource off of them. So being able to use Sword to banish that and add that back to the hand is nearly invaluable. If this becomes your discard, or you open up Albion, or you get to Albion and you send this, you can very easily banish this during your opponent's turn, as it is a trap card, and add the Makoria back to the hand. So in the 2-card combo that you'll see at the end of the video, if you're able to add an Albion to it for the random draw, or you're able to add a Saranir to it to Foolish Burial this card, you actually increase your end board by adding a Makoria back to the hand, and you have an additional negate. It's also very important that if you do this very early doors during the combo as well, that's how you'll be able to produce a negate or protection from the Biru. It will turn it from a 2-card combo to a 3-card combo, but it does do the job, which is why I've gone with Sword rather than Retribution. And there's not really any cards that I want to be recycling with Retribution in the graveyard. Like, once I've got Intrude on the board, keep in mind as well, the one thing I didn't mention, I probably should, because it's like the secondary effect of Intrude, is the fact that Intrude is basically like a one-sided macro Cosmo. So for those of you that don't know what this does, is during either player's turn, you can immediately after this effect resolve Synchro summon a Synchro monster using monsters you control as material, including a dragon monster. You can only use this effect once per turn. While you control a bestial monster, banish any monster or monsters that would be sent to your opponent's graveyard as tributes for their ritual summon, or as materials for their fusion, synchro, or link. So it's a very nice effect. The issue is you do need to control a bestial, which is why it's quite important that when you're making cards and when you're building the boards in the combo at the end, there are points where your bestials will come and then they'll go. It then comes down to whether you want to be using the Quem to make the bestial Dispatar, or if you want to be making, basically, spoiler, this Mac Daddy Towers in the form of Chaos Angel. Speaking of spoilers, let's get onto those synchro monsters. So we've got the one Despia and Lulu Walith. If you want to actually be summoning Lulu Walith in this deck, you will need to play 2. The idea of it in this one is to be sent off of the Dust Dragon, and in doing so, this will then allow you to get a Quem guaranteed to the board in the end phase, and you'll see that in more detail in the combo. We then play a lot of level 10s, and we've got the Chaos Angel, we've got the Bestial, and then we've got the Baron. Now, to be completely honest with you, I feel you can very easily cut the Baron out. The Baron is there as the Omni Negate, but more times than not, my direct synchro route is going to be Chaos Angel as my playstyle. Because of this, we're actually going to be making it more times than not with Darks. You'll see this in the combo again, that the idea is we're going to make it with Aluba and we're going to make it with Druid Swarm. And before you go, whoa, 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 neither of those are tuners, Chaos Angel actually allows you to treat a light or dark monster you control as a tuner for its synchro summon. On top of that, if it is special summoned, you get to target a card on the field and banish it. It also gains the additional effects based on the original attributes of monsters used for its synchro summon. If you use a light, synchro monsters you control are unaffected by monsters' activated effects, or your opponent's monsters' activated effects. So it's rare because the only ones that I'm ever going to summon will be Baron, Bestial, or Chaos Angel, and I'll need to summon Chaos Angel first. So I'm not really too worried about that. It's the second effect that if you use Dark Monster, monsters you control, so all monsters, not just synchros, cannot be destroyed by battle. So you can build up an incredibly powerful wall. They all can't be destroyed by battle, which is really, really important. Then a synchro monster that we don't actually play, as in synchro summon it, is the Malong. Now this can be a disruptive option to send off of the Dust Dragon because you can send this and then bounce a card. It is a flex spot, you can very easily take it out because I feel that off of the back of the Dust Dragon, considering we're only playing 1, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be sending the Lulu Walith in order to set you up your Quem in the end phase. Then getting back to the regularly scheduled branded plays and branded cards, we are going with 2 Mirror Jade, followed by the 1 Dust Dragon, 2 Albion, and the 1 Lubellion, alongside the Dragoon, the Chimera, the Rindbrum, and then the last one, which again is a flex spot that you can very easily cut, is the Hero Storm Neos. This is just here for the Aqua Dolphin. If you're not playing Aqua Dolphin at all, cut it out completely. This is another spot you have to play around with. Other cards that I've had to cut for spaces like this are, of course, Dracus Depelia. You also have the new Albion Sanctifier. I didn't feel that I absolutely wanted to have this card or needed to have this card in this version, but it is something you can change around. I haven't had enough testing with it to justify the space in the extra deck because it is a little bit tight, but that's probably the first one that would come in place of something like a Baron. Another one is, of course, Quinterius, because this is another one that you can get off of the Dust Dragon, which as you'll see at the moment, when we're sending Lulu Walith from the extra deck to the graveyard to trigger off the Quem summon, you then don't have a Despian in the extra deck to summon off of the Dust Dragon. So that's kind of where you need to adapt it to your playstyle, and if you feel you're going to be utilising that effect to its max potential. It still needs a little bit of work, but I do like the fact that it gives you a different angle than what the deck usually has. I think that's kind of cool. I do feel that the deck it's not its most optimal because to get the most out of the synchro plays, you do need to go first. You do need to be able to set up the Intrude. If you can't set up that Intrude, you're just going back to basic fusion version of the deck that utilizes Bestials. Now, obviously, if the format shifts and we go back to more light and dark decks and Bestials become more prevalent, then of course you're going to be in a much better position. But I feel right now, when you're putting Bestials in the deck, you need to kind of look at them as, I need to create my own fodder for them in order to banish them and summon them. I can't rely on my opponent having lights and darks in their graveyard. It needs to be my cards. And when you're doing that, you need to make sure the cards you are banishing are going to be able to either A, be recycled, or B, set you up in some sort of advantage, which is why we are playing the 2 Makoria. And that is it for the profile. So now to kind of show you why this deck is worth looking into and what it can do to kind of put the proof to the pudding, as they say, I will now bring you the 2-card combo. For the 2-card combo, we're going back to basics with Aluba and Lubellion, and this is going to show you how you can integrate the synchro element of the deck if you want to kind of shake it up a little bit. So we're going back to basics by normal summoning Aluba and searching out the ever faithful branded fusion. You're then going to use Lubellion's effect, discarding itself to search you out the Magnamute. You're then going to activate the branded fusion, send in Albaz and Makoria from the deck to the graveyard to summon out the Rindbrum. You're then going to use the Magnamute's effect in the hand to target the Makoria in the graveyard and banishing it, summoning itself down. You'll then get the ability to trigger Macquarier's effect to search you out Cartesia. At this point, you're going to want to use Lubellion's effect to send the Magnemute from the field to the graveyard, and then use Lubellion's effect to set/activate Etrude of the Branded. So this is the brand new track card that allows you to synchro summon during your opponent's turn. We're then going to be able to special summon down Cartesia because we do have, of course, Albaz still in the graveyard. In doing so, we're going to use Cartesia's effect to fusion herself and Lubellion, and you're going to go into Dust Dragon. Use Dust Dragon's effect, and this time you're going to want to send Luluwalith from your extra deck to the graveyard. This is pretty much it for our main phase. We've definitely gone past the 5 summons. You do need to be a little bit careful if you are worried about a Nibiru. When we move to the end phase, we're going to be able to trigger the Luluwalith effect. You could also trigger the Cartesia effect if you want to, but we actually want to leave this in the graveyard. By triggering the Luluwalith effect in the end phase, keep in mind you've also got Magnemute's effect to resolve in the end phase as well. You're going to be able to summon out your Quem. You're then going to use Quem's effect to send a second Makulia from the deck to the graveyard, and then you're going to resolve the Magnemute to search yourself out a Druid Swarm. Now, Druid Swarm is the aggressive option because this will give you an additional send to your end board. If you want to play a little bit more defensive and get a Foolish Burial, then of course you can go for Saranir, or if you want to be a little bit more controlled, you can also go for the other Bestial as well. So it's entirely up to you on where you want to go. Ideally, Druid Swarm, in my opinion, is probably the best one rather than Baldric. So we move into our opponent's turn. During our opponent's turn, we've got a lot that is going to happen. We're going to start off by using the Druid Swarm's effect. We're going to target the Makuria and we're going to banish that from the graveyard, summoning itself down. This will allow you to trigger the Makuria's effect, and that is going to allow you to search out a Fallen of Albaz. Now, it's very important that you search out the Fallen of Albaz because it is going to help you get into Mirror Jade very nicely and easily. So at this point, this is when you want to activate Etrude. Now, obviously, the more cards your opponent puts on the board, the better you're going to be able to kind of utilize everything. Here, what we want to do is we want to synchro using Druid Swarm and Aluba. And before a lot of you go, whoa, 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 hang on, where's the tuner? Well, we're going into this brand new Mac Daddy in the form of Chaos Angel, which allows you to treat your darks or lights as tuners. Now, because we only use darks, if you were to use something like Guiding Quem or you were to use something like Cartesia, you'll be able to get an additional effect that this synchro summoned monster is unaffected by your opponent's effects. But because we use the dark monster, monsters we controlled cannot be destroyed by battle. So all of the monsters we control cannot be destroyed by battle, which is really important. Because a monster has left the extra deck in the form of Angel, we'll then be able to use Quem's effect to revive from the graveyard, and we're going to revive the Cartesia. On summon of Cartesia, we can then use her effect to quick effect fusion summon herself and the Albaz in the hand, and this is going to allow us to get into an Albion. We'll then be able to use Albion's effect to banish from the graveyard, or of course we can banish itself a Fallen of Albaz, and you've got 2 engraved, remember, plus the Luluwalith, and this will then allow you to have a Mirror Jade. So, what we've done here from these 2 cards is we've been able to set up the ability that all of these cards cannot be destroyed by battle. So they've got to get past, technically if you put Albion in defense, that's another defensive monster they've got to get past, and a 3500 boss monster. You've still got a live Mirror Jade. You've also got the Dust Dragon effect as well if you wanted to play a second Luluwalith or any of the other Despias. And you've also got the effect of the Rindbrum if you wanted to on the activation of Albion, or if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can bounce that card as well. That's all from 2 cards. You're still going to have 3 additional cards. They're either going to be hand traps, it could be branded in reds, it could be extra plays that you can make. This was just a very simple 2-card combo to show you of how you can utilize the synchros, more so Luluwalith and of course the Chaos Angel. Now, if you wanted to change the Chaos Angel up for something like this platter, you could do, because you could use the Guiding Quem, but then you wouldn't get Cartesia to give you Albion and Mirror Jade. So keep that in mind. There is reasons that this combo fluctuates and changes, but it is very, very cool and gets you a very powerful and really awesome end board. So that's it for the profile and the combo. I hope this has given you a couple of ideas on your own build. If you do have any questions at all, please let me know in the comments down below. Like I said at the start of the video, I do not feel that this is the most optimal version of the deck because I feel that trying to play the synchros does mean you have to go out of your way a little bit to play the Etrude because you can only activate this during your opponent's turn because you're going to lock yourself into fusion summoning during your turn, and then you're going to want to synchro during your opponent's turn. So it's very give and take, but it's definitely something to keep in mind, and it is a bit of a nice change up for a deck like this. But as absolutely always, stay safe, and please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you'll miss out on any more upcoming content. Until next time, guys, as always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.